Okay, listen to me and listen close. If your thumb is hovering over that contact again, if you're staring at their name, lit up on your screen like it's a portal to some alternate timeline where they're different. Now they get it. Now they've grown up. Now I need you to back away, slowly put the phone down, and sit your emotionally impulsive ass right here. Because I promise you, they're still the same. They're still exactly who you remember, just dressed up in more curated Instagram outfits. Maybe now they go to therapy but still don't listen. Maybe now they meditate but still ghost you when you need them. Maybe now they've read 2 books on attachment styles and think they're suddenly emotionally available, but babe, you and I both know they're not. And you know why you're thinking about texting them, right? You're not confused. You're not just being friendly. You're not just checking in. Let's stop lying to ourselves. It's because you miss the way it used to feel. Even if the way it used to feel was mostly chaos and heartbreak, sprinkled with just enough dopamine to keep you addicted. It's not the person you miss. It's the high. You miss the illusion, the fantasy, the way your brain filled in the blanks for who they could be instead of who they actually were. You fell in love with potential. And now, your brain's running a highlight reel of the greatest hits of your trauma bond. Like it's a rom-com and not a psychological horror show. You are not bored. You're not curious. You're craving the familiarity of the pain. You already survived. And I get it, I really do. Loneliness is a sneaky little liar, it whispers. Maybe they've changed. Maybe it'd be different now. Maybe this time they'd stay, and then you spiral. Because now you're wondering, well, what if they're out there loving someone better? What if they're showing up now? What if someone else gets the version of them I always hoped for? Let me stop you right there. No one is getting that version because that version doesn't exist. They are who they are, not who you hoped they'd be, and they probably still think saying I'm bad at texting is a personality trait. They probably still start arguments when you get too close, or disappear when you need clarity. They probably still don't know how to hold space for your feelings without making it about them, and you're over here losing sleep wondering if maybe they'd finally get it now. They won't. And even if they did, that doesn't mean they're for you. Sometimes people grow, and it still doesn't mean they're meant for you. Sometimes. Healing means realizing someone doesn't have to be a villain for them to not belong in your life. And I know it hurts. I know how loud the silence gets when you cut someone off who once felt like home. But not every home is safe. Just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's right. Some houses are full of mold, but you got used to the smell, and calling it love doesn't purify the air. Let's be real. They didn't forget your birthday. Because they were busy, they forgot. Because you weren't a priority, they didn't fail to apologize because they didn't understand they failed, because accountability feels like death to people who rely on deflection and charm, and you didn't imagine the mixed signals. They just wanted the parts of you that fed their ego without having to deal with the parts that required effort. You weren't too much. You were just asking for the bare minimum, and they acted like it was an invoice for emotional labor they never signed up for. Look, if texting them would fix it, don't you think it would have been fixed by now? If they were capable of showing up, they had the chance. They had all the chances. They ignored every uncomfortable conversation. They shut down. Every time you said this hurts, they changed the subject, made a joke, minimized the pain, made you feel dramatic for needing clarity. And now that it's quiet, now that you've finally got some peace, your brain is playing tricks on you, romanticizing a connection that was mostly inconsistency and apologies, that never came followed by grand gestures that made you question your own memory. It's not love, it's a cycle. It's adrenaline and withdrawal. It's craving the chaos because your nervous system doesn't know what calm feels like. Yet, you don't miss them. You miss the version of yourself that existed in their world. The one who tried so hard, the one who believed this could be it. The one who kept showing up thinking love was earned through suffering. And maybe you're scared that if you let go fully, you'll never feel that intense again. But love isn't supposed to be intensity. It's supposed to be safe and steady and kind. Not a guessing game, not a puzzle with missing pieces, not this emotional math problem where the answer is always you overextending and them not even noticing. And, deep down, you know that if you text them, you'll just end up back in the same maze, chasing the same breadcrumb trail, trying to get a meal out of someone who only knows how to give scraps. And then you'll hate yourself a little for going back again. And I'm not saying you're stupid for considering it. I'm saying you're human, you're wired for connection and comfort. And sometimes the pain we know feels easier than the healing we don't. But don't confuse that pull with fate. It's not fate. It's a trauma loop. It's your brain trying to resolve an old story by rewriting the ending. But the ending already happened, and no amount of texting will change. That they still don't know how to love you in the way you deserve. They still don't speak the language of reciprocity. They still fumble with your heart like it's made of rubber, not glass. And you're still hoping that this time, this one message, this one check-in will be the turning point. But real change doesn't need your reminder. It doesn't need your prompt. If they changed, you wouldn't have to text first. And if they haven't, that message is just reopening a wound. You worked so hard to close. You don't need to test if the stove is still hot. You already have the burns to prove it. And I know this is the part where your mind starts bargaining. Maybe just a, hey, maybe just a meme, maybe just something casual, so you don't seem too invested. But let me tell you something. If you have to play it cool to talk to someone you once gave your soul to, maybe they shouldn't have access to you at all. Love shouldn't feel like a strategy. It should feel like breathing, like coming home, like peace. And you're not asking for too much by wanting that. You're just finally ready to stop settling for less. And yeah, maybe they're out there telling their version of the story, painting you as too sensitive, too intense, too whatever. But let them, if protecting your peace makes you the villain in someone else's narrative, hand them the pen and walk away. Because no one who really loved you ever made you question your worth this much. No one who deserved you ever had to be reminded how to treat you. And I'm not saying the love wasn't real. I'm saying the pain was too. And both can be true. It was real. And it was damaging. It meant something. And it still wasn't enough. You gave your best and they gave their patterns. And now it's your turn. Your turn to choose yourself. Your turn to stop chasing ghosts. Your turn to heal. Without waiting for their apology, you probably won't ever get. And maybe that's the closure. Maybe the closure is realizing you never needed to beg for what was already supposed to be yours. Maybe the healing is in the silence, in the not texting, in the moving on without announcement, without explanation, just you choosing peace over potential clarity, over chaos, love over longing. And I know that ache in your chest feels unbearable some nights, like a hole you'll never fill. But I promise you, that ache is just space being made for something better. Not necessarily someone better, but a version of you who doesn't beg for love, who doesn't abandon yourself to be chosen, who doesn't see red flags and think, maybe if I love them hard enough, they'll turn green. You don't need to fix them. You need to forgive yourself for thinking you had to, and if you still want to text them, go ahead, write it all out. Pour your whole soul into that message. Then don't send it. Leave it in drafts. Look at it, read it, cry if you have to, and then let it go. You already know how this story ends. So maybe this time you write a new one where the love starts with you, where the peace doesn't require explanation, where the healing isn't shared with someone who only ever saw you as an option. Because, baby, you're not an option. You're a whole damn universe. And if someone couldn't see that the first time, don't give them a sequel. Not when you've already survived the ending. And if this hits something in you, if something's stirring in your chest right now, if you're sitting there feeling both angry and seen, that's okay. Let it sit. Let it speak. Let it sting if it has to. And when you're ready, when the urge to text them shows up again, remember this. They're still the same, but you're not. And that's the real reason. You don't need to go back. Not because they didn't change, but because you did. And you're not the kind of person who abandons their healing for someone else's comfort. Not anymore. You've come too far to turn around now. Keep going.